it helps to lay everything out in order and number things. Like these push rods, I numbered these. Cap your fuel lines. And just keep everything in order, and your gaskets and your spare parts, and that helps. It's not easy on a small boat trying to lay everything out, but you do the best you can. There's the new thermostat. This was from a cruise kit for the Perkins M20. You can get cruise kits and gasket kits and rebuilt or just brand new injectors. I just got brand new ones, and it's good to carry all those extra parts. Fuel pump, spare pump, hoses. The hoses aren't shown. The right tools while you're in the field. Like, I have to have a lot of metric tools because of my Perkins is metric. Torque wrenches are important. Various kinds of poppers stuff. Removing the injectors on this bugger was pretty difficult, which is typical. Usually you have to use a penetrant PB blaster or some liquid wrench or something. But I managed to get the injectors out a little bit at a time. Now the one with the where the gasket was blown and the oil was leaking was the most difficult because the oil had this sort of cemented it shut. But I have pintle type injectors, you can see, and they're all clogged. Here's the head here after it's been removed. What happened was when my gasket blew, and it just blew a little bit, just enough to allow oil to squeak into the first cylinder here, which when the oil was getting in here into the cylinder, it was completely clogging the exhaust passage here. This red stuff here, it looks like rust, but that's a type of primer that's been sprayed by the factory. Some kind of paint primer. I checked the springs, they're good. Since I got everything apart, it's good just to clean everything really, really good. Check it, check the tolerances, and hope for the best. The tolerance for the block has to be within 0.02 of an inch, which is pretty difficult to achieve out in the field. But I'm getting close. And I have ATF in here to keep the particles out from getting into where the rings are. And of course you got to cover up the exposed areas in the fuel pump. Very important. Here's the oil pipe. Oh, but it's not easy not having access to a machine shop or a shop when you're out in your boat cruising and you have to fix things. So you have to do the best that you can. Now to remove the oil, when I'm done, it's keeping the particles suspended and from going into the rings. I just suck it out and put it in a cup, and I keep it in a container for disposal at a marina where they have those recycling centers. The head's back on now, and a little cleaner than before. The coolant was here, the water pump. This has got to get cleaned, and the gasket's got to get scraped off and cleaned, and we'll put a new gasket on. Now the temperatures in here reach about 1,000 degrees inside the cylinder when it's compressing the air. 1,000 friggin' degrees! I fix small outboards, not diesels, and diesels are a little different. The compression ratios are about twice that of gas. The gas engines that I work on, twice. And the temperatures are incredible. 1,000 degrees, and diesel ignites at around 700, I forgot. It's over 700 degrees Fahrenheit. It ignites, and then... Alright, things are coming back together. Now here's the heat exchanger. I'm putting it back on, but notice that on the M20, the thermostat is in here and not behind the water pump, which one time my thermostat died, and I took this whole thing apart trying to find it, and you don't have to obviously take this apart. The thermostat is right here in the exhaust manifold, and this is where the tube stack goes for the cooling. And I'm dry fitting the gasket, make sure everything's fitting back together. Now this is extremely important. You could ruin your engine if you don't follow this. Now because my engine wasn't starting, I had to turn off the seawater, so no more seawater was being pumped into the exhaust. Otherwise, if you don't turn off your seawater and you keep cranking the engine and it's not firing, you will flood your engine with seawater, and that is catastrophic. So now to find top dead center for cylinder number 1 on a Perkins M20, I use this as a guide, because you turn the crankshaft and its engine is small enough that you can just put a socket over here and a good wrench and turn it by hand. The normal rotation is this way. As soon as the engine does fire back up, turn the seacock back on, oops, and make sure that water is spitting out of the exhaust.